Hey, everybody. Welcome to Chance's BS Happy Hour. I think that's the name we've ultimately landed on just because we really just have had zero time to think about the name of it. And literally right before the podcast, we're like, we got to get to the meat of this. We have so much to talk about today. The election was yesterday. We're going to break down the results. But more than that, we're going to teach you how to start evaluating polls for future elections, which ones were garbage, which ones are good. But Chance, why can't we figure out a name for this podcast?
Man, I don't know. I think we've been a little busy. But thankfully, the Memphis municipal elections are over. We get a little sleep tonight. What a race.
Sleep tonight. People are going to have all kinds of questions later on, and I still want to do an open forum, especially with what's coming up next year. And I think before we end, we're going to talk about what's coming up for the Greater 901 in the future and all the stuff we have to do. I've been telling everyone since the start, this was step one. Step one, well done, Memphis. Well done. People are engaged. Mm-hmm. People care about the future of Memphis. So you want to start talking about, let's talk about the tracking polls first.
All right.
Okay.
So I think one of the first decisions we made in early January is we ran a poll that says, hey, what's the direction of the city? And are people interested in moving, or is it just me and my wife? Right. And then we decided, okay, look, we're going to stay out of being totally in on a specific candidate for the mayor's race and focus more on down ballot city council races. But we wanted to keep a pulse, and so we started a mayoral tracking poll. Did we do a good job?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. It's called perfection. All right? It's called perfection. And I know people have been asking this question for months, and we put out an op-ed, and we put some other things on the website about, like, how do I know which poll to listen to? How do I know which poll to read? Well, today we're going to tell you which polls you should listen to in the future and which ones you should completely ignore, because some of them were spot on, very statistically close, and others were complete and utter garbage. Some of that I understand why candidates got to try to puff to try to get that last minute vote, but they're trying to manipulate you.
Hey,
right?
and let's just be very clear about this. From day one, we said, look, we're going to do this in a nonpartisan, factual basis. We want to know what Memphians want, not some ideological push, right? Not some specific policy that we favor, like where are Memphians? And the reason I'm bringing this up is a lot of time on issue campaigns, there isn't an end result, right? But in an election, voters made a choice. And so when you look at a mayoral tracking poll and all of our polling techniques and what we've been doing, being accurate on that just tells you how accurate we've been on everything else.
Well, and I'll tell you this, and it's not necessarily sour grapes. And yeah, maybe I feel like we're owed a little bit of an apology here, but not really, because people are skeptical.
Yeah.
And people were very skeptical of any new PACs, new organizations. And once again, as a lawyer, recovering lawyer, I want you to be skeptical. I want you to be very discerning when you look at the data. But when you're first looking at where you're getting the information from, is it directly from a candidate? You know it's biased, man, because they're trying to sell themselves. Is it from a PAC that you don't know anything about? It's probably biased, right? And now we hope that you understand that our polls are nonpartisan, non-political. We didn't help a mayor. We just gave good information. And I hope Memphians value that, because we run off of donations, right?
Well, and I think this is really important as we discuss the direction of the city and where we want to go. Memphians, by and large, are still relatively united. Now, of course, we had 4 mayoral candidates. They each got approximately about a quarter share. We'll get into that in a minute.
Well,
but for the most part, 60 to 80% of us agree.
Right.
And when you look at the down ballot races in the council, same thing. Whether there were communities of color, predominantly Republican, predominantly Democrat, it didn't matter. The issues across the city were relatively the same. People care deeply about public safety and economic development.
Well, let's address this. One of the things that I believe that our ultimate mission is, as Memphians, people that care about this community and the Greater 901, is to find the commonality, to keep us together as a team, to go out there and fight for our area against the world, not against each other. And since I came here after law school, there's been too much division. And I hope that the people that were elected, and I'm going to demand it of them, I hope you will too, that they keep finding ways to bring us together as a community instead of finding ways to divide us as a community.
It's the only way Memphis prospers.
Well, it's the only way, and it's absolutely something we got to continue to focus on. All right, let's look at the data.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to get to some polls, and we're going to get to the results from last night, and we're going to kind of talk a little bit about why. And yeah, money was the king. Little second pro tip for you. Money was the king. Right. So we estimated in our tracking polls, and this was very consistent. Paul at around 27%. In second place was Bonner in our poll, then Harrington, then Van Turner. Now.
And everyone else, little mini me's.
Well, yeah, and everybody else was, down ballot, right? And so, let's talk about some of the other polls that are out there. News Channel 3, a respectable news station. They do good in polls and politics and have for years. I don't get this one though. I don't get this one. Chance is they put down a poll that had Harrington on top. We never had Harrington on top. Young in second, and then others decided. And here it was Emerson College polling. I do not know if this is an actual college. I do not know if this is just a name of a polling company. But I'll tell you this, I'm never hiring them. Okay, because not one poll had it set up this way. And I know people, oh, you're being mean, Brian. Dude, this is weird to me. They had Harrington at 16, Paul at 14, at the time 27% undecided, Floyd, then Joe Brown, then Van Turner and Joe Gibson. No other poll was anywhere remotely close to this kind of analysis. So I guess I don't know where they got this from, but I do say that the margin error they said was plus or minus 4%. They do not indicate whether or not they polled likely voters or just randomly. And I think that's one of the things that really concerns me. If you just poll the population in general, you'll get some really wonky numbers. You got to poll the people that are likely to vote in that particular election. City election's different than county election. County election's different than a presidential election.
Well, and that's really where they made a huge mistake, right? So Emerson College is a well-known polling, sort of like the Quinnipiac poll, et cetera. They've got 20 plus years of doing polling. But when you come down and you look at okay, what's turnout going to be, which I got wrong.
Wait.
Wait,
are we going to talk about? Is that going to be the end of our conversation? Who won the bet? Who won it? Okay,
you won it. You won it. Memphians, you're still too apathetic for me. I love you, but good Lord, how in the world do we not get over 100?
So for those of you that don't know our little picture, who haven't been copious watchers of our show, it's I've always estimated we're going to have under $100,000 people turn out for the election, and Chance was very optimistic it was going to be over that. And just, I can't remember who won that again. You said it earlier.
You won, and I was doing victory laps when early voting turnout was at 58,000, and I thought clearly this is in the bag. And boy, oh boy, did a little rain dissuade you guys from coming out.
You want to know something interesting about early voting election day? There's really good data on this point. Is the creation of early voting was designed to get more people to vote. It doesn't get any more people to vote. There's no trend lines that show that having early voting for a week or 2 weeks, or even that it exists, makes more people turn out. It just makes it more convenient for those that do turn out. And isn't that funny? And over the last, 12 years or so, it used to be 55% early voting, 55% on election day. And now that number's shifted to almost 65% vote early. So that number's been slowly shifting as people learn it and understand it's more convenient.
And one of my biggest pet peeves about political media coverage within the Fourth Estate is everyone says, the state's got 800,000 people, and we should have turnout that's way higher, and we have registered voters. Well, one, we made registering to vote a near requirement now. I mean, you register when you sign up for your MLGW bill, your driver's license, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, you can.
So it's like auto, registered. But we also forget that we have 150,000 students in that population count. Mm-hmm. So, when you're talking about an actual voting population that's, really 300,000 to 400,000, 100,000, 150,000 voting for a presidential, okay, it starts to make some sense. But boy, I was wrong. You were right. But you know what? Let's talk about Emerson College, because they were wrong too.
Wait a minute. I got a little present for you.
Oh, did you?
I got a little present
order?
for you. This is no. I got these based on Shay Flynn. Anybody knows Shay Flynn knows he loves this particular phrase. He's often right. But I got a little. Let me see if I can get this right here. I told you so. I told you so. And I'm going to give that to you as a present. You can keep that little button. I told you so. Button.
I am sure Shay has never won this button. Anyway,
I could give him a box of them.
Emerson, where they get wrong, they got the demographics wrong and they got the undecideds wrong. The undecideds going into election day when this poll came out was never over 25%. Not even close.
No, well, especially not during the summer. If this was in January, February, or March, but it wasn't. Okay, so this poll, like, look, you've got to look at who they're polling, I think, to dig that. And so they didn't poll the right people. And it made them, us talk about them today. So the other one that came out is this is from a straight up PAC. We talked about this last time. This out of state money, the George Soros gangs, the people that are trying to make big cultural changes in different communities. Believe it or you can make your own determination if you believe in those cultural changes. But the People for Justice and Fairness, great name. Great name, fantastic name. Okay, it's a great name. They were completely behind Van Turner and some other city council candidates, right?
Same organization that backed D.A. Mulroy. That's why you saw the Van Turner, Mulroy, Keel kind of coalition.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that last year they got $285,000 late from some out of state money that wanted to support that kind of a movement, and they came in late this time, and I do think it's interesting when we get to the actual results that Van Turner, who they were backing, did make some strides late in the game, a little too late to make a difference, and the only person that was really hurting was Paul ultimately.
Yeah, well, look, who came out with an op-ed in the middle of an election about ranked choice voting? D.A. Mulroy.
Right.
What is this poll asking for? What translates into Turner led with a final figure of 23% and a final tabulation of multi-stage polling.
Right.
Sounds a lot like ranked choice.
Well, yeah, it is. And, when I was on the election commission for a lot of years, we can get into ranked choice voting, the different schedules on that later, but I have strong feelings on that too. I'm not necessarily against ranked choice voting, but the issue was, when it's by a candidate or a PAC supported by a candidate, what they want to do to you as a voter. What they want to do is have you believe that a certain person can win, because voters, human beings, like to get behind winners. People want to be on the winning team. And so if people were a little undecided or a little soft on a particular person, this poll, which is really a push poll, is designed to push you into voting for that person. So it's not statistically valid. It's not accurate. It is meant to do a job, which is to play you like a fiddle. And so kudos to them for doing it. Well, this is their job. This is their job, to win elections.
And so that's the push poll for Van Turner. And it creates media headlines. It does it. Jackson Baker calls it out. But look, the other thing it's doing, it's not a coincidence that D.A. Mulroy is saying, hey, we should change our voting laws. It's not a coincidence that they can now say, oh, look, if we had this, Van Turner would have been our mayor. He's more popular than Paul Young. It's setting up the stage for the next conflict. Watch it. It's coming. They're going to try to change the voting rules.
Absolutely. And the issue is, it's kind of like you go up to the national level of the Electoral College. People are like, we should change it. We should change it. What you want to change it when your person didn't win, and then you want to leave it when your person won. Right. All right. And the reason, look, there's a reason why we have the Electoral College, so that we don't have another civil war. Like, literally, it's designed so that every state has some sort of say in it, so that everybody has a voice. And the people that want to tear that down, not everybody wants to have a voice. So when they try to do ranked choice, they want to try to, or the person has to get over 50%. So there's a runoff, right?
So the runoff.
Well, guess what? Their guy wouldn't have been in the runoff anyway. So,
But see, that's what's so funny. Like, we talked about this, off the record a lot. But who's the Republican in this? Who's the white guy in this? Who's the white woman in this? None. This was basically a Democratic primary. If this had been a Democratic primary, Paul Young would be running against a guy that would maybe get 25-30% of the vote. Paul would still be the mayor.
I mean, if we had a primary and then a general, the general would cost a little over $1 million of your taxpayer dollars, and it would have made no difference.
No difference.
Because Paul still would have won. And so if this was a primary election, look, when they're trying to say, we need to have primaries in Memphis government, what they want you to do, taxpayers, is pay an extra $1 million for another election that makes no difference. None. None.
And then what happens? The political party chooses the mayor. A small group of insiders.
Oh, Lordy.
And I'm telling you.
You're right. And if we get into the data that 4 to 5% of the population picture U.S. congressmen, people would lose their minds. And we can get into that in the future, right? Let's stick to the Memphis election right now.
But people want to know why we're going through these polls and why we did the Greater 901 polls. These are time-tested strategies to shape political narrative. Ours just told you the truth.
Well, it certainly gave you the snapshots in time as it went, as accurately as any statistical poll can give it to you. Raw data, those are the facts, no manipulation, no compound questions. And, and it's like, I should say this also, the people for justice and fairness. As an American, I like competition. I like people that try to, campaigns are adversarial processes. Mm-hmm. And so people have got to argue back and forth. And I don't like this term attack ads. There was no attack ads. What? There weren't one attack ad. There were people trying to educate themselves on them and on their opponents.
I think,
and people take them as attack ads. But if they put out the truth, and I did not see anyone that said that is a flat lie.
Oh, come on. The Sheriff Bonner and Paul Young support January 6th insurrectionists. That was a flat lie.
Oh, okay, there was some attack ads. All right, I forgot about that one. Okay, you got me. But I do think that educating the voters is the job of the candidate, and trying to get you to vote for the candidate is their job. So this poll was a push poll. It was not a real poll. Jackson Baker, to his absolute awesome credit, said, "Well, that was a lie," but that's their job.
Yep.
And that's what I need you to understand. It's
part of
it's part of the deal. People will try to lie to you to get votes, right? And so, you just got to be aware of that, and then people will try to change their position after the fact on that stuff. So anyway, let's keep going because I want to get to the results. Oh, just real quick thing. People watching this may not know who won. Paul Young.
Paul Young won.
Paul Young won. Who came in second? Bonner. Who came in third? Harrington. Who came in fourth? Turner. Oh, by the way, what did our poll say?
Young, Bonner, Harrington, Turner.
Okay, sorry.
It has been that way.
That was just me being petty. That was just me being petty, but yeah, right. So if you want to know the breakdown and
kudos to Perry Strategies for this chart. This is fantastic.
And it's out of the Shelby County Election Commission data, and a lot of parties will do this. And thank you, Kim Perry, for putting this nice color graphic together. So we wiped that, but we're going to give you full credit for it. Is you want to know where the votes came from? Bonner out east, Harrington all around the outer loop. Right, Young in Midtown, downtown, Midtown, and a little bit in East Memphis, and then you have Turner that kind of popped around a little bit of Hickory Hill, a little bit of Orange Mound, a little bit of the Fraser area, right?
Yeah, I think this is. I mean, you want to talk about coalitions and basis. I think this is the most interesting chart that I have seen post-election. Bonner had a nickname, Bartlett Bonner. Where's all of his support? Kind of outside the Beltway or in the Beltway, Cordova, et cetera.
He should be called Cordova Bonner.
What was Paul Young's job, right? He was the mayor of downtown. Where's his support? Downtown, Midtown, right through the core. And yes, please don't think that that's just all white areas because it's not. And plus, Midtown's pretty progressive. And then you've got Mayor Harrington, where his support's always been. South, North Memphis.
Now, I should say, people can misinterpret this data, okay? Mm-hmm. Because it does not mean that in this green area right here, that is all a Bonner area. This little wedge right here, he got about 30%, right? In this area, this really dark areas, he got about 50%. So the other 50% went to other people, right? Yeah. So this was just the highest vote getters. So everyone was still a bit of a mush, but you know why Bonner and Young came in first and second? They focused right here.
Yep. And
people always neglect Cordova and Hickory Hill. Always do. It's like they're seasoned suburbs now. People should focus on them if you want to win a citywide race. But yeah.
Hey, and you know what else this doesn't tell us? So we've talked about Super District 8, Super District 9, how they split the city. You've got 6 council members from that. Vote totals from the two super districts were about the same, as they normally always are. So this isn't a case of white people voting more, black people voting more. Both vote. They vote proportionally.
And I would say that the turnout was consistent, by the way, with 2019, 2015. The reason why it was a little lower is because there was a little thing that happened called de-annexation. So Southwind left, some sections of Cordova left, some sections kind of up kind of North Cordova left, which was, 8,000 voters lost. So the city left those. They're still in the county, but they're not in the city anymore. All right. Well, let's just kind of start running down the rest of the races. You want to do that?
Sure.
All right. Says we're rolling here. So
Rhonda won convincingly in one.
Okay. So let's look at this. Look, this is Rhonda Logan at 76%. So just to be clear, the mayor's race and the 2 super districts, no runoffs. Highest vote gets it. But all these districts 1 through 7, potential for runoffs. Rhonda, runoff or no runoff?
No runoff. She smoked it.
No runoff. She got over 50%. So Rhonda's been doing a good job, and the people rewarded her with a good job. We're digging it, right?
Rhonda also had a good grade from the 901.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so let's look now. Two is going to a runoff.
Yep.
And this is going to be
a throwdown.
This is going to be a throw. Guys, you guys want to watch some drama? You don't need to watch your TV sets coming up.
If you're in District 2, get ready to do it again.
Yeah. And I think the highest, you're talking about low turnout, is a runoff. It'll be about 6 weeks from now. And it'll be, shucks, man. It'll be 4,000 people, tops. I mean, tops, right? And so...
But, I mean, look, you had some political heavyweights. I think saw Mayor Harris campaigning for Jerry Green, D.A. Mulroy campaigning for Jerry Green. Scott McCormick had the full backing of the Republican Party. I mean, I love myself Marvin White. I love me some Marvin White. I know he was out there, but, man, that's going to be...
Will Frazier, I like Will Frazier's signs. He goes... If I won't, who will? I thought that was cute.
But we've said from the get-go, no one was going to get 50%.
No, we always said that District 2 was going to have a runoff. And look, and you could think that Scott McCormick has a leg up because he had the biggest vote getter, but there are so many elections. With the top vote getter, yes, historically the runoff will win, but I think to Bill Morrison. Bill Morrison was the district rep for District 1, which is North Cordova, kind of Raleigh and Fraser area. He came in second in his runoff, and he just destroyed the runoff because he focused during his general campaign on the people that would vote during the runoff. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Look, this is going to be, you can't just mail it in. This is going to have to be, people are going to go out and vote for you because they care about
This is
you.
slugfest. Slugfest. Now, you're going to have 1,500, 1,800 votes that will go no matter what. They're just going to go and they're going to pick somebody they might not know. The rest of it's all about turnout.
Yep.
And whoever has the best infrastructure. Okay. So just to let people know, Jerry Green used to work as a lawyer for Mayor Harris. Scott McCormick used to be on the city council, and then he went and worked for various nonprofits and was on the school board for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both well-seasoned. They should have top-notch campaign infrastructures. They both have connections to political heavyweights. It's slugfest.
Oh, it's going to be slugfest. Okay. District 3. What do we got here? We have another runoff.
Pearl Walker and James Kirkwood. Now, this is going to be interesting. James Kirkwood did not get on the public safety ballot, which was the police and fire union endorsed candidates, even though he formerly was part of CLURB and is a former police officer. Pearl Walker is an environmental activist, did very well with the Greater 901 ballot. They're the top 2 vote getters. There's going to have to be some reconciliation here.
I think this is going to be another. There can be another slugfest. So that's 2 races right now going to a runoff. That's going to be a slugfest. And so let's see how it's gonna go.
And the question is, who gets off the sidelines for it?
Well, yeah. And remember, the entire council votes on your tax rates, public safety. They're going to approve the new mayor, Paul Young's, whoever his CFO, CEO, police director, fire director, all those people, they approve. These are very important seats, so there's only 13 of them. So 7 makes a big difference right now. Okay, so 7 makes a big difference. Okay, Council 4, hey, Janice Owens-Ware, she's going back. Right?
She does a great job. 73%. Family name.
Yeah, 73%.
I mean, it's been their family, like the Ford family, for a minute.
No surprise.
People love her.
No surprise. One of the most contested races outside of the mayor's race was City Council District 5, right there in the middle of the city. This is Durham Strickland's former district, Worth Morgan's current district. And so you've had some real hitters all the way back to Jack Sammons and some other, real powerful, influential people have curved this. And Philip Spinoza, who used to be on the city council, took back this was not his original seat. He was in a super district, but he took this seat over from Worth without a runoff, and that's. Well, there was 3 people in the race, but I think Luke Hatter was a kind of a young person. They didn't get enough votes to stop to force it to a runoff.
People were asking me about this race up until the day of the election, and then 10 minutes after voting ended. And I always thought Megan had a really good shot to win it. I mean, you want to talk about fierce and loyal campaign infrastructure, team, family members. She activated, her faith-based network. I mean, she did everything she could.
She's a community organizer. And I say that not as a – people think that that's an insult. I was a community organizer. I helped create the Cordova Leadership Council. All those crepe myrtles on Germantown Parkway, some of them are dying, physically planted those and raised the money. I'm a community organizer, fought a strip joint. So I got a lot of love in my heart for people who volunteer their time to try to make the community a better place. So I have no doubt that she's going to stay in the fight and continue to try to advocate for Memphis.
And just to put this in perspective, she had over 100 volunteers at her victory, which is incredible. Yeah. So what does this tell me? It tells me at the end of the day, Memphians really cared about public safety. They cared about a track record of fully supporting police and fire, certainly in District 5. I think it bled through in Paul's campaign. This margin is surprising. Philip was not supposed to win this big. I got to say, he ran a smart campaign.
I think they both gave the voters a choice, and they made it. And there's no runoff in that because he's over 50%.
Yep.
So Councilman Spinoza will be returning. Okay, District 6, Ed Ford Sr., the GOAT. The GOAT.
Hey, don't tell me people don't come out. That's 13,000 plus votes in his district alone.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. That's 85,000 voted. So I mean, Ford's district.
Yeah, I mean, Ed Ford Sr.'s going back, man. He's keeping the dream alive for the Ford family. Good job, GOAT. Big respect. District 7.
I just did the math. 15% of the total vote came from Ed Sr.'s district.
Oh wow! I mean, you keep doing that math too quick, right? Man. So this is a unique one because Michael and Easter Thomas is an incumbent. She had a drove of people that run against her. Now, you can take that for what it is. Is this just a very politically active community? Are there people that just want to run? Or are there a lot of people that think she hasn't done a good job? Well, apparently the voters have spoken, and 55% of them said no. Now, this was formerly Berlin Boyd's district, and she ran on a platform not voting, this is just my interpretation, but they didn't vote necessarily for her. They voted against Berlin, right? He very vocal, he's an aggressive fighter guy, tough guy. And she kind of wrote on, I'm going to do more for you. 55% of her voters said nope, and they're forcing her to a runoff. So that's a big deal.
Look, she is by far the most embattled incumbent. That's why so many run against her. She's in a runoff. She didn't win an outright majority. The only one who didn't win an outright majority. You had a couple, council members, Jeff Warren and J.B. Smiley, who were unopposed. We'll get to the super districts in a minute. But Edward Douglas was the Republican endorsed candidate. Jimmy Hassan ran an independent campaign, came in first.
Second.
JP and Larry Springfield had really good grades by the 901. I love Larry Springfield. Not gonna hide that fact. Larry
owns a restaurant. He's like a musician and stuff. He's a good guy. Yeah.
He's
right on
Beale Street. But my point is, that's Michaelin's to lose. Still think she's the prohibitive favorite.
I can tell you in 1 week who's going to win.
Can't wait.
No, I can absolutely tell you in 1 week who's going to win. And if Jimmy does his job right, he will get Ed and Parks and Reed and Rowe and Springfield all together to endorse him. Yeah, and they'll all go after her together. And if that happens, I'm telling you, if that happens, she's in trouble.
Yeah.
If they stay divided and fractured, she's got it in the bag.
And then Austin Rose got the endorsement of Marr, another he's a realtor downtown on Mud Island. So,
well, then Marr's got to get a little bit out there. If they want to get their people elected, they got to do a little bit better than 272. Yeah, all right. Sorry, man. I call it duck a duck. All right. Okay, let's go to the big super district. Super District 8 is the one that kind of represents downtown and the southern half of the city heading out to Hickory Hill. J.B. Smiley, He's in because he didn't have anybody to run against.
As he says,
Right.
he's got a mandate.
Yeah, that's right. Janika White's, she's in.
And Janika's another superstar.
Yeah, look at her count too. Just crushed it.
Yeah.
26,000.
But it's hard to find anything not to like about Janika White.
Right. District 8, Position 3. Again, no runoffs in the super district. So, Yolanda Cooper Sutton.
I mean,
Now, do you think that people thought Yolanda Cooper Sutton was the same Barbara Cooper that used to represent District 8 for all those years?
I have no idea. I can tell you this. Yolanda was not on many people's bingo card. That would probably be the election night surprise.
I'll tell you what. There was a lot of... Joe Brown won a lot of city council races, and there was a Judge Joe Brown on TV. People get that confused. There's an old movie with Eddie Murphy in it where he had the same name as a U.S. senator, and he just chopped off his middle name, and he won U.S. Senate because they had the same name.
Hey.
It's a great movie. I can't remember what it is.
Jeff Jeffries.
Jeff Jeffries. That's what it is. Jeff Jeffries. That's the name of him. God bless. Yeah. So yeah, people, going down the ballots, they see a name they think they recognize. I don't know if that was the case. Or
I don't
not.
know how many Cooper signs were held, but maybe a lot more Cooper signs than Cooper Sutton.
So Super District 9, Position 1, Chase Carlisle.
Hey.
Wow, man. He's a relative of yours, eh?
He is.
All right, you stay out. Keep staying out of that race. Your brothers are going to start fighting. All right, so
I will say this: I spent a lot of time at the polling stations, and Benji Smith was a hard-working candidate. I mean, there was not a voter he was not willing to communicate, talk to, tell him his position. Benji worked really
I know, but
tough.
let's look at this and let's look at Ford Canale's race. So Ford won. He's going to return, and Chase Carlisle is going to win. And one of the thing is normal. You could have put anybody's name on against these guys, and they're going to be people are going to vote against them. Anytime you're making a difference, people are not going to like you. And then, of course, you get Benji and Brandon that I think worked really hard. So you get that, and they got some math, they got some numbers on that super district. So okay, but Ford and Chase are returning. Jeff Warren, just as lucky as JB Smiley. Just as lucky as JB Smiley.
I got a question for you. I hadn't seen. Scroll back up to JB. I want to see which one has the real mandate here.
36,538.
No, that's not how you judge it. You got to judge it by the right ends.
332.
Right.
To 143. To 821.
JB's got the mandate.
JB Smiley has the mandate. Breaking news here on the Chance BS podcast, happy hour, whatever we're going to call it, is JB Smiley has the mandate. And you want to know something really weird? How many votes did Paul Young get?
26,000.
So Jeff Warren got more votes. Ford Canale got more votes. Chase Carlisle got more votes. JB Smiley got more votes. Start putting that math together. Janika White, bam, right? Now, that does not mean that they're more powerful than the mayor. It just means they had less competition and whatnot. But JB Smiley right now, I'm going to go with you. He has the mandate of the council right now. All right, good for him. All right, so we have covered a lot of data. I hope it was fun for you. I don't know if you want more of this, leave a comment. Go ahead and join our YouTube channel if you haven't done it so we know what people want. Start asking questions and, thank us for giving you an awesome, accurate poll. It's always nice to be thanked. I've been married for 23 years and I always get thanked. I don't know if that happens to you, Chance. My wife doesn't watch these, so I'm okay. I'm not gonna get into too much trouble. So what's next, Chance, for the greater 901? What's happening next?
Well, look, we've got a municipal election. Paul Young will start his transition. We'll have a new council, new mayor, January 1st. Godspeed to them as they put their teams together and as they welcome the new council members to office. Right now, in the state legislature, the powers that be are meeting and trying to decide the state's budget, pending legislation, results of the summer study session. You've got TASSER, which is the inner council, the inner workings of how they bring the state together on pending legislation. We will be turning our attention to the state. There is a lot that we want to see get done from an economic development and public safety. We will be focusing on gun legislation, tougher sentencing. We'll be focusing on the stadiums. We will be focusing on how we do better economic development here in the greater 901 and anything else that the state can do that can impact us. Clearly, we know that we need to get more resources and tools from the state to help us, big things that weigh on us here locally and on me specifically, that we think the greater 901 can do to help is, be an advocate for transportation, be an advocate for public housing.
Look, just for a minute, we're talking a lot of good friends. We've got to make sure the Grizzlies and U of M are crushing it for the city's future. We got to make sure the city's safe. We need resources from the state to make this happen. Is that, and then we got to start making sure that the elected officials that have been elected, not just this election, but let's talk about the judges. We got to make sure that all these people are doing their jobs. We got to make sure people are accountable, right?
Yeah, so we get into state legislation, accountability, and we'll continue to be pushing back against the false narrative that Memphis wants to, defund the police and have, criminals roaming the streets at will. I mean, we'll be here to be a bulwark against, other false narratives.
Well, I think that's long enough for today, everybody, and we're going to come back to you next week. We're going to start talking about those next steps, and I really want to start digging into the future of the Grizzlies and other big projects that we need to elevate our economic area, and there ain't nobody better for me to bug and ask questions to than Chance Carlisle.
All right. Well, here we go.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next time. Please like and subscribe and let us know you want us to keep doing this or are we just wasting our time. All right. Thanks. Bye.